Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Town of Shrewsbury Zoning Board of Appeals public hearing for Wednesday, May 2nd, 2012. After we take care of some business, when we get to the public hearings, there's a few procedures that we follow. I will read the variance, the appeal into the minutes. The applicant will then come to the table, tell us what they want, why they want it. If you're looking for an appeal, tell us what your hardship is. Subsequent to that, some of us up here may or may not have some questions. After we're done, I will open it up to the floor. If anyone here in the audience has any questions, it's usually a pretty simple procedure, and that's pretty much it. First order of business is to review and approve minutes. Questions, comments? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next is sign bills. We have one bill for $164 to the T&G for our February legal notices. Can I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So, what? This now fell off. I had to shut it off.
I see them now.
Yeah, I have to select it.
Oh, okay.
I show you the minutes as well.
Do the same thing, remind me.
Minutes go to you, right?
Thank you.
Left mine in my car. Just that reason.
Put my car would probably sink.
Can you get a
Mine does the
signature?
same thing, yeah.
Does it by itself?
Sometimes.
Thank you.
Put away.
Okay, our first 6:30 hearing is to hear the appeal of Cash for Gold, 131 Boston Turnpike, Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, for a variance to the Town of Shrewsbury zoning bylaws, Section 7-E3C, in the Commercial Business District to allow a wall sign on the side of the building which does not have frontage upon property located at 131 Boston Turnpike. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 31, Plot 237. Cool. Okay, come to the desk, tell us who you are.
Mike Palermo, Cash for Gold. We're looking to move the sign that we presently have, actually not the sign that is existing on the front of the building. We're putting a new sign. We'd like to put a new sign up and put it on the west side of the building so we can capture the traffic flow coming from the Worcester area right into Shrewsbury. We're looking to enhance the sign that we have. We're going to put a nicer, a more appealing sign up. We've been asked by one of the Board of Selectmen to improve the sign, and also by the town manager. And we're looking to help out the town, help out the lower district there, putting a new sign, moving to the side of the building.
Okay. Any questions?
Which sign are you going to use?
Which sign?
There's a couple of them in here.
There's three.
That's the sign. The one will go on the west side, one will go on the east side of the building.
Oh, so both of them you're going to use?
On each side of the building, yeah. This will be for the west side, but we're going to change both signs. This one will go in the parking lot.
Okay, that's on the east side.
Correct.
Okay, where the beauty parlor is and that?
Correct.
And nothing will be on the front?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have those in the.
We have those, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. And why did this come about? I think we ought to know.
When I originally went to put signage up, we were told that we could put signs on the west side of the building. We had put a sign up, a large sign. We were subsequently told that we needed frontage to be able to have a sign we cut the sign, we modified it, we moved it to the front of the building. It really doesn't look good on the front of the building. And I guess there was people coming out of the church, St. Anne's from across the street, had made comments about the sign. So collectively, I've spoken to the town manager, I've spoken to Mr. Kane about bringing it, pushing it. Mr. Kane asked for us to try and get this to go through, to put to the other side of the building, just to get it to look better. The sign on the front of the building really, it doesn't fit there. It's too large for that spot.
So the one in the front now will be 3 by 12.
The one on the
Front.
parking lot side, the one that's on the front of the building
Okay.
is larger than that. The one on the front of the building is probably 5 by. It's
And
probably
that's going away.
that's going away.
Okay. I have no problem.
Okay, anyone else?
I don't have any questions.
I'm all set. Anyone in attendance wish to be heard on this matter? Yes, sir.
Hello.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Yes, my name is Mittal. I'm the dentist of the building that is behind, the lot behind the lot that we are referring to. May I approach?
Yeah, sure.
I spoke to Bob, Mr. Kane, and he and I came up with an agreement. We are aware that the frontage of his sign is too large for the area. So I spoke to him, and we were trying to put up a sign at the corner,
Which sign are you talking about?
a communal sign.
That has nothing to do with this hearing right now. The only thing that we're talking about is the sign on the side of the building.
Okay.
Is for a variance. If there's other sign issues that you're trying to put up, then you would need to.
It indirectly is affected by the sign that he's taking off of the frontage of.
But that's a compliant sign, he can take that down.
Okay.
That doesn't really apply to what we're doing. The only thing we're doing is approving the sign
Oh,
on the
okay.
side of the building.
Okay. My apologies.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You can speak to the building inspector if you have more questions or want to think about putting a communal sign up.
Okay.
She can help you with that.
Okay, okay.
I do have one question. What is the permitted sign area? The side, that this is for more signage?
No,
This is a
No.
variance.
It's actually-
This is a variance for location, not
It's in it-
for size.
Oh.
It's actually
not
going to be
for sign.
It's
it's
actually
actually going to be less
It's less
signage.
Yeah,
The sign is actually going to be made smaller.
it's not a variance for size.
Okay.
I can help clarify that if
Sure.
you wish. Currently, our sign bylaw requires that a sign be placed on the side of the building with frontage on a public roadway. So in this case, it would either be the east side of the building or the south side of the building, which is the front of the building. They're requesting the sign to be put on the west side of the building, which does not have frontage.
Does not, got it.
However, they've been requested by people in the town, and they feel that it's a hardship to have the sign on the front of the building, would prefer it on the west side. They're under the allowed sign square
Okay.
footage requirement.
Anyone else wish to be heard on this matter? Okay, there'll be no further questions. We'll take it under advisement, and you will be notified of our decision.
How long does that take?
The end of the meeting,
Oh, okay.
unless...
Or sooner.
Or possibly sooner, yeah. Our second 6:30 hearing is to hear the appeal of Robin and Elizabeth Rhodes, 675A South Street, Shrewsbury, Mass., for a special permit to the Town of Shrewsbury zoning bylaws, Section 6, Table 1, to construct an in-law apartment in the Rural A District upon property located at 675A South Street. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 44, Plot 11-1. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Robin Rhodes.
Elizabeth Rhodes.
Okay, and tell us what you're going to be doing.
We're here to petition for a special permit to build an in-law apartment above a vacant, in vacant space above a three-car garage that exists on the property. My dad was in the intensive care unit at UMass Memorial Hospital, was discharged to the geriatric psych unit at Clinton, and then was discharged from there to the Whitney Place in Northborough, where he's been in assisted living. And he's had a remarkable recovery, and he's doing much, much better now. So he would like to get out of that situation, and we've made an option available to him to come and live with us in an in-law apartment, and he's agreed to do that. So that's our intention, to take that existing space and create an in-law apartment for him, so that he can live there with us and have a dog.
So you're not changing anything on the outside of the structure?
Only I'm adding a dormer
Okay.
into the existing roof line.
And where's the entrance?
We'll be adding a new entrance. There's an existing walk-up staircase, and at the bottom of that is a landing, and we'll be adding an exit to the outside. We'll be adding an exit to the garage, and we'll be adding an entrance from that landing into the home. So there'll be 3 entrances at the bottom of the landing.
Okay.
One to the garage, so you can take the 3rd car, park, come in,
Go right in?
go right in, you can come down, go outside to one step down to a deck or a little patio, or you can come right into the house.
Okay, and the entrance to the outside, where will that be? From the in-law apartment?
At the base of the stairs.
Okay,
So you come down the stairs you're above,
right,
above a 3-car garage, you go down the stairs, and then there's a landing. You can go right to the garage, you
Okay.
can go left to the outside,
Okay.
or you can go left inside the
Gotcha.
existing dwelling.
okay. Any other questions? No?
I'm all set.
Anyone in attendance wish to be heard on this matter? Yes, ma'am?
Well, I'm their neighbor.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Karen Bolivar, and that our yards abut each other.
Uh-huh.
So I was just wondering, it's just gonna be above the garage, that's all they're gonna keep?
Yeah, they're not changing the house, changing the footprint of the building. And have you been notified or advised of the sunset provisions and that we typically do with in-law apartments? That it stays with you if you then sell the house, the permit expires? It only lasts as long as you own the house. And it has to be with a blood relative that lives there.
Sure.
Okay. Being no further questions, we'll take it under advisement. You'll be notified of our decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have an agreement. Want to vote on the sign?
Sure.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
No.
Anything? Can I get a motion?
Move to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, in-law apartment on 675A South Street. Not too much to discuss. We're not changing the footprint.
Existence.
No,
Structure.
not changing anything.
Nope.
Tomorrow will look the same as it does today.
Yeah, that's right. Motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? What's that?
That's easy.
You were approved. Yep.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
It looks like a squiggly, but.
Is Mr. Fales here?
Yes. Good
Okay.
evening.
Good evening. Actually, we have 2 more minutes. We have to wait for the posted time. It's fine by me. No, Mary Beth is only here for the church road, yeah. 131 Boston Turnpike has been unanimously approved. As has the special permit for the in-law apartment at 675A South Street. Okay, our first 6:45 hearing is to hear the appeal of Peter Fales as agent for Sprint Spectrum LP, 960 Turnpike Street, Suite 28, Canton, Massachusetts, for a special permit under Section 6, Table 1, for replacement antennas in limited industrial districts. The property is located at 157 Memorial Drive. The subject premise is described on Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 47, Block 3-30.
Good evening. This is an existing lattice tower
Just
site.
please state your name
Oh,
for
sorry,
the-
Peter Fales, agent for Sprint. This is an existing lattice tower site on Memorial Drive. And Sprint's actually located on the tower, and they currently have 6 antennas. They're looking to remove 3, so they have a final goal that actually put 3 up for the interim, then go down to 3 eventually. So there's 6 now, they'll go to 9, then they'll end up at 3 at the end of this project in the next couple months. So they're looking to remove 3 to go down to the 3, and then replace. And they're also going to add 6 radio head units, which will go on the mount behind the antennas. So between the actual tower, and then there's the mount, and then there's the antennas right there. And then also they're going to be adding 3 cables running up the tower, and then there are 2 equipment cabinets that are within a fenced-in compound at the bottom of the tower, and they will be replacing with 3 cabinets. So they'll take the 2 out and then put in 3. This is part of the 4G efforts you've seen from many carriers on the sites in town, I'm sure, looking just to upgrade their service.
Okay. Any questions? Mr. George?
How long is this procedure going to take?
It should take about 6 months. So the interim, there's 6 now, they'll go up to 9 for about 6 months, and then the final count will be 3. So there'll actually be less than there are now.
You co-mingled, is there anybody else on the tower?
Yeah, there are. There looks like there's at least 2 other carriers on here from my plans, and Sprint's actually in the middle. So there's someone above them, and then there's Metro PCS as well below them.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yeah, other than the number of towers that are going to be there, which is going down 6 to 3, which is good, are they going to look any different when you're making
Substantially the same.
Substantially the same. Can I just ask what the reason is?
Just the upgrading technology, switching. There's UMTS, GSM, LTE, and they're just incorporating it and using different antennas. So, like I said, a lot of the carriers are switching out, and same thing. More data, the coverage areas, and everyone's using the internet and Facebook and everything on there.
Anyone in attendance wish to be heard on this matter? Okay, there being no further questions, we'll take it under advisement, and you will be notified of our decision. Our second 645 hearing is to hear the appeal of Peter Fales, his agent for Sprint Spectrum LP, 960 Turnpike Street, Suite 28, Canton, Mass., for a special permit under Section 6, Table 1, for replacement antennas in the Residence B1 districts. The property is located at 19 Church Road. The subject premise is described on Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 22, Plot 24. I need to recuse myself for this hearing.
This is the First Congregational,
Say your name
sorry,
again for
Peter
me.
Fales, agent to Sprint. This is the First Congregational Church right up the street. There are a few carriers inside of the steeple. Sprint happens to be the one at the top of the actual spire. All of our antennas are inside the actual spire, so it goes Sprint, and then it looks like there's Verizon below them, and then I know AT&T is on the louvers, actually on the outside of the church. We're completely concealed inside the spire. We're looking to take the 3 antennas that are there, put in 3 new ones, put our radio heads, in this case, right below them inside the spire rather than behind the antennas because it's so tight. And then our equipment is actually in the basement, again, completely concealed. It's in the building, and we will use our existing cable runs to run cables up to the inside of the building, to the spire, and we will be swapping cabinets in the basement as well.
When do you plan on starting this project?
It should start again in the next 6 months. So they're getting everything permitted and leased fully, and then they're going to start running within all the jurisdictions around here.
Any board members have any questions? Anyone in the audience have any questions? Seeing none, we'll take it under advisement and notify you about decision.
Thank you.
The next advertised hearing is at 7 p.m., so we have to wait until the advertised time.
Did you see the one on the last one?
Lots of
It's a problem.
Yes, it is. There's another one. In mine.
Okay, should we take care of these towers? We have a few minutes. First one, 157 Memorial Drive.
Move to approve.
Second?
Anything to discuss? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
No?
That's yours. Yeah.
Any questions on the second Sprint hearing on Church Road?
No.
Move to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
See you.
Done.
9 minutes. Slowing down a little. 157 Memorial Drive, a special permit for replacement antennas has been unanimously approved.
The appeal for Sprint Spectrum on Church Road has been approved unanimously.
We are at 6:52. We have to wait until 7 o'clock, the posted time, before we can take on the next hearing. So we have about 8 minutes of dead air. Because we don't have any other business, I don't believe. Do we have anything?
Just one thing that I wanted to make an announcement. We, in our last meeting, we heard a 40B appeal for Ridgeland Road, and we were working under the 2003 Zoning Board of Appeals rules and regulations. So I will be updating those because there have been several changes to the state the state law and state CMR. So I will be working over the next 2 months or so to bring our regulations up to code and bringing that before the board for their review. And so if anyone has any comments.
Didn't we update the rules and regs at some point?
We updated the Zoning Board of Appeals rules and regulations, but we did not update the comprehensive permit rules and regulations,
Okay.
which is a separate document.
Gotcha. Okay.
Are there many changes?
There's going to be quite a few changes to that document.
Substantial, or are they just bookkeeping?
A combination of both. And then I just wanted to alert the board that annual town meeting starts May 21st. I know some of you were reelected yesterday. Congratulations. We have 3 zoning articles on the warrant this year. One is for a use of electronic data centers in particular districts. One is for solar arrays, for large-scale solar arrays in particular districts. And the third item is to amend our aquifer protection bylaw map to include several areas that have been brought online and requested from the town of Westboro.
What's a large-scale solar array?
Large-scale solar array is any solar project that is larger than 250 kW.
Okay. What would a typical house be?
I think substantially under
Less?
that, probably
Okay.
about 50 or 100.
Okay.
I'm not an expert in the
Yep.
solar field.
No. You probably know more about it than I do.
Well, would it be appropriate to recess for 7 minutes?
We could.
Move that we recess for 7 minutes.
Get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. At St. Mary's Syrian Orthodox Church, 1 Industrial Drive, Shrewsbury, Mass., for a variance under Section 7-D1 to reduce the required off-street parking in the commercial business district. The property is located at 1 Industrial Drive. The subject premise is described on Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 33, Plot 80-1. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Richard Ricker. I'm an attorney with offices at 11 Maple Ave in Shrewsbury, and I'm here tonight representing the petitioner. The petitioner's president is seated to my right, George Abdian, and I also have with us the architect. In your package you now have some calculations that the architect has put together in response to correspondence from the building department. He is here to explain that as you may see fit. Also with us is the vice president of the church, Joe Youssef, and also the treasurer of the church, Jack Banan. Also in your packet now are various notes from the church officers relating to the occupancy and relating to the actual use, the realistic use of the church. As the advertisement says, this is a request for a variance for parking at the facility on 1 Industrial Drive. The facility has been used as a church for a number of years. They want to put an addition on the facility itself in order to give themselves a formal sanctuary, basically. That's it. This addition would be to add a formal sanctuary, which they have not had to date. They've been having their church services in the function hall, which you can see is in your packet as well, in the plans, the floor plans that I've given you. The sanctuary is shown on the floor plan. As you can see, it's an addition off of the main church, and again, that is substantially what we're talking about here, besides the additional parking that would be involved in the construction of the sanctuary as well. The number of parking spaces that they've been able to basically put on this plan are 69 parking spaces. Presently, there are no lined parking spaces in the lot. Presently, the parking lot is a very small area of pavement. This would be enlarged in order to basically maximize the number of spaces that they can fit on here. As you can see from the plan, you have a somewhat miniature set of this set of plans in your packet as well. But you can see that there are topographical issues on the plan itself which impact the lot. Those topographical issues are the hardship that we are talking about, which is a substantial hardship in this particular case, because the rear portion of the lot is, as you can see on the plan, wet. It's wetlands. That it comprises almost, I'd say, probably 20-25% of the lot. And to the front, as it faces Route 9, you have some slope issues there. Basically, what you see here is that the church has really maxed out what they can put on this lot. Now, as a standard course, in addition to parking in the lot that they have had there, they have also used Industrial Drive on Sunday mornings, and they parked up and down Industrial Drive. Also, they have an informal agreement with the neighbor, whose principal is Richard Quayle. He agreed that they can use the lot for the old telephone building. On Sunday mornings, nobody uses it. So that is also an agreement that they have with the neighbors.
Can I ask you a question? Is that
Sure.
building vacant right now?
It is right now.
Okay.
These hardships that you see here are clearly, and as required for a variance, incidental only to this lot. There's no other lot like this in this general neighborhood at all. This building was put at its present location, obviously not thinking about expansion at the time, or even putting a formal sanctuary in, or parking needs that would be required by a bylaw. The building was located in the middle of the lot, and it is on Route 9. It's convenient for all the parishioners. The obvious problem is, and the major problem to the lot, is the wetlands. Again, incidental only to this lot. I would suggest respectfully to the board that this is not a request which derogates from the intent of the bylaw. This is, in fact, an improvement. This proposal would improve the parking situation on this particular lot dramatically. And as you can see from the traffic counts, which are 3 recent Sundays, and you have those traffic counts in front of you. The traffic counts that are in front of you show that there were, on these 3 recent Sundays, actually quite a bit less than was required, than is required here. The 69 parking spaces. I think you're in the vicinity of 49 spaces or something along that line.
According to that number, yes.
On one Sunday, there were 41 vehicles, another 48, another 45. Now, that's not to say that on 3 or 4 major holidays a year, you're going to see more vehicles and more people. But even then, we would respectfully suggest they've been able to do it now. They don't anticipate that they're going to see any kind of dramatic increase in their membership. They don't expect an increase at all, frankly. This is really in order to formalize a sanctuary for themselves, for a long-standing church. The next point I would make is that as required for a variance, we need to establish, and I would suggest to you respectfully that there's no nuisance value to this request. There's no detriment to the neighborhood. Again, I think that a common sense view of the plan would show and would demonstrate that this is in fact an improvement to this particular lot. You know, the calculations that you have before you relative to occupancy load of the building, that has been the subject of some considerable discussion between us and the building department. The reason for that considerable discussion is because of what I would term offsetting uses of the building. When the function room is used, then people usually aren't in the sanctuary. When the people are in the sanctuary for the church services, then really nobody's in the function room except maybe someone getting ready to set up coffee for after the service. So you have the use of these rooms offsetting each other. You have a situation where yes, it's nice to have a function room. Most churches do have them. But as we all know, those of us that do go to churches, they offset each other. They're used at different times. I do go occasionally, but... so
I will strike you down.
So I guess my final note would be, again, this is not intended to increase the membership. They do not expect an increase to the membership. And although you have an occupancy load that would seem to mean that if you divide that by 3, that as would be required by the bylaw for parking, it would seem to be an extreme request. But in reality, these folks are going to be adequately served by what you see here. We fully expect that, yes, there will be times when they continue to use Industrial Drive, which, as you know, is a dead-end drive off of Route 9. It's been accommodating them for years, and we do expect that at times that there will be overflow again. But that has not been a subject of complaints, and I can't anticipate that anybody on that Industrial Drive would complain, frankly, because they're uses that mainly always occur. They use those buildings on weekdays, not on Sundays. So, and with that, if you have any questions, we'd be pleased to answer.
Yeah, I'm assuming that Mr. Gilmore's letter is in response to Patty's memo?
Yes, that letter is in response to Patty's memo. I met with Patty. I told her that she and I basically agreed that I would go back to him, ask him to address the concerns of her memo. That is what I would suggest a way to address that. He does cite the code, and as she
Right,
requested,
he's citing the same, yeah, the 2009 edition.
the same thing she's asking for, yeah. And what you don't have in front of you is the actual code. I do have a copy, and if you wish, we could provide a copy for the file, but basically it lays it out as per the code. Our architect is here, and if you have any questions for Mr. Esford, then he is here to answer any questions about that.
Okay, the first question, Kristen, is the last paragraph in Patty's memo. Does this address her concern?
Well, my question to the applicant was going to be, I'm looking at the code analysis that was just submitted for the occupancy count for the building, and the total occupancy based upon the code is 545, is that
Yep.
correct? And looking at our parking requirements for places of assembly, 1 parking space per each 4 seats, so I count that to be 137 spaces?
Actually, I went even more extreme, and I counted 1 parking space for every 3 people
Okay.
in a place of assembly. So,
Okay.
I felt that was the safer way to look at it, because what the board needs to determine is what would be the maximum number, and if we determine that to be a higher number, then I think that that's a better way to look at it.
Right, if the board and the applicant can come to a determination of how many spaces short they are, we can include that in the decision and we can close this evening.
Okay, that was going to be my question. So that's my
Right,
question
and
to you.
so the 545 divided by 3 is the actual number. I did write it down somewhere, 182.
So 545, that's how many are required?
182 spaces would be required were this an ordinary use place of assembly. Yes,
So it's 182, yeah.
182.
And you're saying that you're providing 69, even though I'm seeing on the site plan 70 spaces?
Well, if you see 70, then I guess you're right, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're clear for the
Yeah.
record. I see
It's
the
70,
70
the architect
space
tells me
width.
it's 70.
Okay, great.
I misread the plan, sorry.
Where did the number 877 come from?
That's
That
what
was
Patty is.
that was Patty's rough calculation.
That's what I'm
And there is an explanation for that. Maybe Mr. Asfora wants to elaborate, but
Well, the only question I would have on that is on the function space, Patty is showing 610, and you're showing 278,
yes,
which is where the biggest decrement is coming from.
right. She's using a different calculation than the actual code dictates. She was using one person, I've given 6 square feet per person, and we are using 15.
She's using 7 square feet per person.
Okay,
You're
and we're using 15.
Okay. So-
And the 15 is because it's an unstructured seating area, and it's usually where you have tables and chairs, and therefore it falls under the code category of unconcentrated. And as unconcentrated, you are allowed to use the 15-foot net per person figure, according to table 1004.1.1. And I do have a copy of that here if you wish to see it.
So I'm calculating with the 182 spaces required by code, 70 spaces shown, 112 spaces short.
Yeah, I'm coming up with, oh, actually, there's a difference in the square footage. Patty has 4195 and you have 4008.
It's 4,008, that's the actual, we went back to the plan and measured the whole area. It's
Okay.
4,008. And it's showing on the letter that was corrected.
The exhibit that Patty had is a little bit older than the exhibit
Okay.
submitted today.
Right, there had been a couple of different submissions to Patty during this process,
Okay,
and
So it's been updated
Yes.
as the process moved forward?
yes.
okay, so you're confident that this addresses
Yes,
Patty's?
if
So-
we are definitive in the 112
12,
spaces
yeah,
short. Yeah.
okay. So that, yeah.
And I can tell you that the church is absolutely more than willing to say that, on record, that there will never be more than 545 people in that church, because because even if they went to 250 to 300, that place is really
I
crowded.
guess my question is, at 545, you have the 182 spots, and you only have 7, where would the 112 additional,
We wouldn't be able to do it.
okay,
Yeah, that's the hardship, that's the problem.
okay,
That's the result of the hardship.
okay. So there's there's not much overflow anywhere.
No, but what I need to point out is the actual use, as depicted by the letter of Mr. Youssef in front of you, would dictate
Significantly less, yeah.
would dictate that the actual use of this building is significantly less than what you could calculate out if you were to technically calculate it out. And I might as well just give you this for the record. It's the signed letter of Mr. Youssef, who is here tonight as well, to testify if you need that to be
Looks
done.
pretty much like you're 3-to-1 on cars to people.
It really falls within that basic parameter,
What
yes.
happens on, you said there are 2 or 3 days where you,
Easter,
yeah, what happens,
Christmas,
where does the overflow go?
it goes up Industrial Drive.
Okay.
And generally has been
Okay.
more than enough.
Yes, my name is George Abdi and I'm the president of St. Mary's. The number of 500 and plus parishioners, we have never ever reached that.
Okay,
Max that we would go is between 250 to 300, and that is on the non-active members that shows up, as you know, if you go to the church on Christmas and Easter, and that's usually when they show up, and that's when we have our max capacity in that category.
okay, good enough. Thank you. Mr. George.
Does this have to go to planning board for anything?
Mr. Wooden?
I believe so.
And is there anything encroaching wetlands?
Well, there will be a requirement to go to the Conservation Commission because of the proximity to the wetlands. But we felt that this request was, it was so important to address this particular issue first,
Move forward with it?
and then move forward.
Mr. Wooden?
For whatever reason, Sunday of the Orthodox Easter, I was on Route 9, and I thought I'd go in and look. There's orderly parking on Industrial Drive, not an exorbitant amount, and everything was neat, everything was done, and I don't think the congregation can grow. I think they have everybody who is available to them. I believe there are 3 different Orthodox, and you're one of them.
Yes.
So you've got all your guys, they got all their guys. So you're not really going to grow.
St. George's has their own.
Yeah.
We have our own.
I live 55 miles away.
He lives 55 miles away. Yeah.
55 miles.
God is going to bless you.
More than me, I guess.
We'll be more than happy to pay all your memberships if you want to join for a whole year. Just come and see.
Especially if you let him put
I
on
don't
a
even
pool.
go see my rabbi, so
God bless you.
thank you.
Anyone else?
What are the how many existing spaces, more or less, are there?
I think there's probably 25 to 30, if you are really nice about it. I mean, the bottom line is that it's a very small parking area there now. And the paved area is really quite constricted. There are no lined spots, so I can't tell you exactly, but I tell you, I've been there a couple of times, looked at it and said, wow, I don't know.
So you're right now you're surviving with 30-ish spots.
Yes, yes,
And you'll be constructing a total of 70.
yes. Assuming that, everybody agrees and the planning board approves, and yes, and the Conservation Commission
Seems
is
excessive
okay with it.
almost when you compare it that way.
Well, it does, but when you look at the technical requirements of the bylaw,
Right.
that's what we're up against. We absolutely made the decision to max it out the best we could, bearing in mind what we had for a lot.
And how many cars can you park on the street there?
Oh, God, you put 100 there. I mean, that street, yeah,
It goes all the way up to Donahue.
yeah.
Right.
Goes all the way up to Donahue Industries.
Right.
Yeah, it's quite a long drive.
Anyone else? Chris?
No, that was gonna be my question, is that there's 300 people there, that means you need roughly 100 spots.
Right.
So, you have that, if you could fit the other 25 on that street safely.
No question about it. I can tell you that they've been there for 17 years?
94.
Since 94.
I was the first wedding there. So.
And they've never had an issue with any of the neighbors concerned about the parking or any problem with any of the authorities relative to parking on Industrial Drive.
Okay.
Well, you're maximizing the parking lot, so I mean, and you can't go any further due to the
No.
topographical and wetland hardship, so I'm good with all that.
Yeah, I hope traveling 55 miles, you have one of the reserve spots.
We'll put them right next to the bishop.
Parking on the streets.
Okay, anyone in attendance wish to be heard on this? Okay, there being no further questions, we will take it under advisement, and you will be notified of our decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, for your time. Our second 7 p.m. hearing is to hear the appeal of Gene Skeff, 18 to 20 Bay Road, Shrewsbury, Mass., for a variance under Section 7, Table 2, to construct an addition 2.6 feet from the side lot line, and a special permit under Section 4-B to construct a second-floor addition to the existing non-conforming single-family dwelling in the Residence B1 district. The property is located at 18 to 20 Bay Road. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 51 as Plot 165.
I believe you have a letter in the file requesting a
Oh, okay. Please withdraw the application for a variance and special permit scheduled for May 2nd. They're going to demolish the existing building and build a new foundation on a different section of the lot. Have a motion to withdraw?
Make a motion to withdraw.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor of withdrawing the special permit and the variance, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Rough day.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. I thought we were almost done. Okay, the withdrawal has been unanimously approved. Our first 7:15 hearing is to hear the appeal of Leanne and Joseph Marchiona, 14 Meadow Hill Road, Shrewsbury, Mass., for variance under Section 7, Table 2, and Section 7-C to construct an in-ground pool 10 feet from the side lot line in the Rural A District upon property located at 14 Meadow Hill Road. The subject premise is described on Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 11, Plot 59-15. Would you please state your name for the record?
Joseph Marchione.
Okay.
So essentially, I'm here looking to essentially construct a pool on the property. The existing hardship is a easement, drainage easement that lines the entire rear plot line, and you guys have the plot plan in front of you, but and so essentially, just one clarification, I put essentially the side and rear setbacks just because I'm not, although I think I guess I wasn't sure what the rear setback was for a pool, so, but I think it might fall within that, so. But essentially, that's the hardship. The easement does fall on my property as well as the property that abuts me to the rear, so I don't think that there would be, substantial, it wouldn't degrade the intent of the bylaw in terms of, encroaching on anyone else's property. The side setback would be kept at about 10 feet, and that's probably about it.
Okay. What's the setback? 30?
They're in the rural A district.
Okay,
So the side
and
yard setback is 30.
how far, and the pool has to be 10 feet from the structure?
That's correct.
Okay, which they do meet
Which
that?
they're meeting that requirement.
Okay.
And 10 feet from the existing deck, is that correct?
From the deck and from the house?
Correct.
Okay.
And that's part of the reason for the application as well, is 10 feet off the deck, as well as if you meet the 30 feet side setbacks, leaves a pretty small area directly behind the house, and so that's the reason for the application as well.
Mr. George?
Will the edge of the pool be coming right to the fence of the drainage easement?
I think the proposal was essentially about a foot or two, but we were told that that would be okay when we had originally checked.
Does that include the fence?
Yeah, essentially, our plan is to essentially make sure that the fence fits within the boundaries of the easement.
Okay.
So are you going to utilize that fence as a surrounding for the pool area, or?
I'm not sure we can do.
It has to be fenced in.
Yeah, it has to be fenced in. I'm not sure we can do that, so I didn't necessarily
need
plan to
their
do
own
that.
They need their own
Because
fence.
this is I
Yeah.
believe, a town-owned fence.
I
because it's a
believe-
town drainage easement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that, I didn't plan to do that, so.
All right.
Okay.
And have you spoken to your neighbors about that?
I have, yep. I haven't gotten any
All right.
feedback, I mean. I mean, it really is I said I would think that the biggest impact would be the side neighbor, and that has not been brought up as an issue, so.
Okay. Any other questions? Fred?
No, I think you
Dale?
did a true hardship, yeah.
No. I agree. Dale?
I'm all set.
Anyone in attendance wish to be heard on this matter? Okay, there being no further questions, we will take down the advisement. You will be notified of our decision. Thank you. Our second 7:15 hearing is to hear the appeal of Paul Gaudette, 339 Grafton Street, Shrewsbury, Mass., for a special permit under Section 6, Table 1, for the sale of used automobiles in the commercial business district upon property located at 328 Grafton Street. The subject premise is described on Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 34, Plot 32. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record again, my name is Richard Ricker, and I'm an attorney with offices at 11 Maple Ave. I'm representing the petitioner in this matter, and I'm requesting a continuance to the next scheduled meeting. The reason for this request is when we filed the petition, we were not aware of a basically new rule or request, or policy request by the Board of Selectmen that they hear these requests first. So we are scheduled for the May 8th Selectmen's meeting for a discussion of this matter, and we would ask therefore to go to the next meeting.
When's our next meeting?
Our next meeting is June 25th.
Okay.
Correct?
Yes.
Do we have anything on at 6:30 yet?
We have two White City and West City.
Okay, so they would be on at 6:45 on June 25th.
Well, my question is to not get into business, but shouldn't we move White City towards the rear of the meeting? Usually.
That's fine. So we can say 6:30, that's fine.
Yeah, do it at 6, yeah. Just typically, we put the more controversial, they're going to take up time towards the end of the meeting. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve the request
Second.
for continuation to the next meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
You are set?
Thank you.
Yeah. You didn't send second page? 7 more weeks.
And the pool.
Cool, yeah. And actually, we're at 7.
And the withdrawal. And the withdrawal.
2 more. And it's now 7:30. So our first 7:30 hearing is to hear the appeal of Brian and Brenda Tilley, 12 Cypress Ave, Shrewsbury, Mass., for a variance under Section 7, Table 2, for the construction of a 2-car garage 7 feet from the side property line in the Rural B District upon property located at 12 Cypress Ave. The subject premise is described on Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 8, Plot 58-71. Welcome. Please state your name for the record, please.
Good evening, I'm Brian Tilley, 12 Shrewsbury Ave.
Eric Heitz, general contractor for the Tilleys.
Okay.
And we put together a package which hopefully everyone has a copy of, showing where the garage would be put. It's a natural placement over where the driveway is, and on the only side that we can build. On the other side, there are trees and a boulder, and there's a swimming pool behind. So it leaves us the only option of where the driveway is now.
Where's the swimming pool? How far behind?
It's actually behind the house.
How far behind the house?
10 feet.
Okay. And question, was the swimming pool, was it an existing pool when you purchased?
Existing pool. The house was an existing pool we bought 22 years ago.
Okay. Any questions? Mr. Gordon? No? Mr. Cantillon?
No.
Okay.
What type of garage is this?
It's going to be a 2-car garage with cape-style front to it. So basically, in essence, what we're doing is we're going to make their master bedroom up above that. Right now, in the garage, it's going to be attached. It basically just fits right in, right where the driveway is currently. And then we're going to do is there's a closet. There's actually their master bedroom right now. We're going to just turn it into a closet. So on the other side, the right-hand side of the house where the large tree is, and there's a boulder there. That's their dining room and their kitchen on that side. So it's not feasible to put the addition on that side, plus make a curb cut, another driveway, everything to the house. So we're trying to utilize the existing driveway that they have right now.
In essence, this is an addition with a garage under.
Garage under, correct, yes.
It kind of fits the mode of the street. There's actually, I think, 3 or 4 additions on Cypress Ave in Ivory. Very similar to that, so it fits into the scheme of the houses.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to build on the other side, would you still need a variance?
I'm thinking yes because of the...
They have 40 feet on that side, yes, so you would
Okay.
still need that as well, correct, yeah.
Okay.
And dynamite.
And dynamite, and, well, not dynamite, but...
And a chainsaw.
And it would upset the neighbor greatly on that side.
Okay. Mr. George?
I'm all set.
You're all set. Anyone in attendance wish to be heard on this matter? Okay, there being no further questions?
I just have one other question.
Before I close?
Do you have any plans of what this is going to look like?
Yep,
Can we take a look at it?
sure, man.
Is it a copy we can keep?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
This is the existing house right now, and this is what the new addition's gonna look like, right here.
So it's going to match the...
It's gonna match the roof peak, it's not gonna be any higher or bigger than what the house is right now.
So this is...
And then this would be...
This is from the side?
Yeah, and this would be the 7 feet. On this side,
Mhm.
there's a hedge of hemlocks that abuts the neighbor. That's on this side here that was gonna stay.
Okay.
Existing house, so this is their master bedroom right now, it's the only work we're doing to it. So we're gonna come in, take the bedroom, turn it into a closet and a hallway, so you can get in this way.
How many square feet is the
544, something like that.
additional square
Yes.
footage to the house?
Yes.
What's the current square footage of the house? You have that roughly?
Probably, I want to say 16, 18.
Okay. Adding less than 50%.
Right next to it.
You guys want to see this? You're all set? I had a feeling you were. Okay. Anyone in attendance wishes to be heard on this? Okay. There being no further questions, we will take it under advisement, and you will be notified of our decision.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Which brings us to our final 7:30 hearing. To hear the appeal of George Abdian, 127 Boston Turnpike, Shrewsbury, Mass. for a special permit under Section 4-B to add a sign to an existing non-conforming sign pole in the commercial business district upon property located at 127 Boston Turnpike. The subject premise is described on Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 31, Plot 235.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could I pass these out?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's much better than this one.
Yes. That's what he said. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Again, for the record, my name is Richard Ricker. I am an attorney with offices at 11 Maple Avenue here in Shrewsbury, and I am representing the petitioner, George Aptian, who is seated to my right. He says hello again as well. Before you is a request for a special permit for the placement of a backlit sign at the base of his present sign for Simon Jewelers down on Route 9. You heard a petition from a neighbor tonight as well. This is right next door to that neighbor. Actually, basically next door because it's across the street. But this business, Simon Jewelers, George has been at this location since 1997. In late 97, early 98, he obtained a variance from this board to place this sign, the Simon Jewelers sign, at its present location where it has remained since then. The reason for that variance at that time was because of the visibility issues on Route 9 with the close proximity of other buildings, which, as we all know, have a way of blocking each other as you go up Route 9, and construction being as it is, the buildings somewhat block the signage unless you can get out close to Route 9. This sign, as I stated, has been here. This being a request for a special permit, I would respectfully suggest that in this particular case, it is an appropriate addition to the sign. In this business climate, where we find businesses competing with each other and needing to advertise and needing to get themselves out in the public face to some extent, if you will. This is a necessary signage issue for him. You will note that he has had some temporary signage on the property as well. We've reviewed the signage amounts with the building department, and we've satisfied the department that we will be in compliance with those requirements. So this issue really is getting this particular sign out front, where he also is in the business of buying gold, buying diamonds, buying jewelry, buying watches, which is, as you know, a very commonplace thing for jewelers to do these days. And he is simply trying to remain competitive in a very, very competitive environment today. I would suggest respectfully there is no detriment or nuisance or any offensive nature here, that this, again, would be an appropriate addition. We do have Ron Hamilton here from Signorama, who's seated in the rear. If you have any questions about the particular sign or anything of that nature, then he would be here to answer those questions as well. With that, if you have any questions, we'd be pleased to try to answer them.
Is the existing sign a backlit sign?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I think
I think that this sign is kind of bright on this color photo
Yeah, that's-
because he wants to show you
Right.
what it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's not gonna look like.
How high off the ground is that new
The
sign?
bottom of the new sign is 7 feet from the ground. 7 feet
from the
clearance.
ground.
That's Ron Hamilton from Signorama that's speaking.
The reason why I'm asking is because Dewey Road, coming out of Dewey Road is pretty hard to come out of in the first place. I just want to make sure that it's not going to obstruct the view of cars entering or exiting Dewey Road.
If you look closely at the photo, you'll see the height of cars in relation to the bottom of this new sign. That should give you some comfort in that area.
And if I may, just bushes in here, I have taken them all out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Abdin has also, he noted to me also that he has taken a bunch of bushes out of there that also obstructed views of people coming out of that road. So he has cleaned that corner up in terms of visibility.
Okay. What's the existing non-conforming?
That the sign is 5 feet from the property line and not
Okay.
the required 35 feet.
Right.
Okay.
It's the variance.
That's all it's
All right. Oh, sorry, Mr. Gordon.
Mr. Rick, I only have one small question. Will this sign obstruct the other sign that we approved earlier this evening?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Okay.
I went down there and looked at it with him. George, maybe you can answer that better, but I don't believe it does.
I don't know where they're gonna put it, to be honest with you.
I saw where they were going to put it. I mean, all the signs down there are one after another on that section of Route 9. I suppose if you take an extreme view at some stage driving down Route 9, yes, it might obstruct some of their signage.
Good signs make good neighbors.
As do fences.
Yeah, as do fences.
We are on if I may add, on very friendly competition there, and I've been there almost 15, more than 15 years. So,
And you know, they did speak about these things tonight, so.
In terms of square footage, it's okay on the frontage?
Yes, they've met with the building inspector and it meets the required square footage. It's under the requirement, the maximum requirement.
Anyone else in attendance wish to be heard on this matter? Okay, there being no further comments or questions, we will take it under advisement and we will be notified of our decision.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, please.
Okay, we are at swimming pool. No, aren't we at the? Oh, no, you're right. Industrial Drive, 7 o'clock. The church. Any discussion?
From the church?
Church, parking?
Well, they're short of parking, but I felt comfortable that they'd be able to pull it off only during those holiday periods. Patty's been concerned, so,
Well, it seems they addressed that.
yeah.
Yeah. I believe so.
Yes, they did say that they have an unwritten agreement with the abutter for overflow parking. If there is an issue with police or
Right.
fire on that side. And as I stated, this will also be going before planning board for site plan approval, so there's another level of review.
Right.
And conservation has to.
That's correct, conservation, there is work with under.
Can I get a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Staff was withdrawn. Swimming pool, 14 Meadow Hill Road. I believe they truly had a hardship. It's an unusual thing, swimming pool with a hardship.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
7:15, we continued Mr. Gaudette's at 339 Grafton Street. Brings us to 12 Cypress Ave, two-car garage, 7 feet from the side lot line. Any discussion?
I think he's got different hardships with the rocks and the trees and
On the other side, yeah.
Yeah, so
And the pool.
move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Anyone-
I'm all set.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? And last but not least, special permit for a non-conforming sign pole.
Move to approve.
Any questions, comments?
No, I think Paul's question was perfect, you know, as long as it doesn't obstruct any view and
Right.
it's not detrimental, then I'm absolutely fine with it.
And we approved the variance on that side of the first one. didn't we? I don't think there's been any complaints about it.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? (14) Meadow Hill Road, swimming pool has been unanimously approved. (12) Cypress Ave, garage addition has also been unanimously approved. Any new or old business?
Just wanted to announce that we've been a little off meeting schedule due to
A little,
elections, meeting rooms, applications to our next meeting, like we said, will be Monday, June 23rd at 6:30, and I believe we'll hopefully be back in the other room. But Michelle and I will send out the agenda.
I actually like this one.
You do?
Yeah.
We can request this one if you want.
It would even be better if the camera didn't work.
I wasn't going to say that, but, you know.
Move to adjourn.
Not yet.
No?
Get that first.
You gotta sign that.
What's your hurry?
Russian.
The Red Sox haven't started yet.
127 Boston Turnpike has been unanimously approved.
They move to adjourn now, please.
Yes, you can.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?